Okay, so for our first card, this is Capricorn Sun, Moon, and Rising. We have the Strength card in the reverse position. So automatically this makes me think that some of you are definitely letting fear get the upper hand on you. Yeah. This isn't good because we don't want fear controlling our decisions because this can really affect our life in a major way. And anytime it's reverse, fear is getting the upper hand on us. And it's natural to have a little bit of fear, natural. But we don't want to become obsessed with the fear. We don't want to constantly pay attention to every single fear. And because the more that we pay attention to it, the more that we give life to the fear. And then we can attract more situations to us that, we'll need to fear. So, yeah, if you're feeling a bit fearful, it's okay. Just don't let it get the better of you right now, okay? Try to refocus your thoughts on the positives. And I try to remind people that, when energies like this are occurring for you, it's better to refocus your thoughts and literally count your blessings. No matter how big or how small, cut the pessimistic attitude crap out, okay? I'm a Virgo, so I know all about being pessimistic, but there's a time to turn that shit off, okay? Sometimes we just got to get our head together and in order, and we've got to refocus our thoughts because our future is, hanging in the balance, so to speak, pretty much for everyone. But, again, we want to refocus our thoughts. We want to be focusing on the blessings in our life, no matter how big the blessing, no matter how tiny the blessing is. I have had so many pessimistic people write to me, through emails, through comments, and they're like, I don't have anything to be feeling blessed about. My life's horrible. I'm stuck in this situation. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it's like they can't even see themselves. They can't even hear themselves. It's like you're stuck and you're keeping yourself stuck because you refuse to see that there's always another way. I understand that certain situations and certain people, they do get stuck in bad situations. But there will come a time where you can get out. But if you're too scared, then you won't be able to get out. But there is always a blessing, no matter how crappy of a lot in life you may feel you're in. Are you breathing? Yes. Whether you think so or not, that is a blessing. Are you healthy? That's a blessing if you are. Are you eating tonight? If so, that's a blessing. Do you have children? If so, it's a blessing. Even if they're acting like spoiled brats, they're a blessing. Not everybody can have children. You got to look at the positive side of things. And you got plenty of positives. You just need to take a look around. Refocus your thoughts and realize that, there are blessings around you. And when you can focus on what is good in your life, it can help pull you out of this, fearful state of mind. And it can then attract more things for us to be feeling blessed about. Okay, sorry, I kind of went off on an epic rant there, but it needed to be said. We don't want to get caught up in this fearful thinking because fear can it will paralyze you if you allow it to. And we do not need to be paralyzed. Okay, to clarify, we have the Six of Coins. So this is the card of generosity and also a card of a bonus. So sometimes this can indicate that someone, generously gives you money or something, that has financial value. Or sometimes this can indicate that someone offers to loan you money. But overall, this is, someone that's doing so out of generosity. And so that is a positive. So even if you're at a tough time, it looks like that there is somebody that's willing to help. This could even be about getting a loan. Some of you could be trying to get a loan, and if that's the case, this is definitely a good sign. Just stay positive, and like I said, when that fear starts creeping in, make sure to refocus your thoughts. Like I said, no matter how big or how small those blessings are, if you focus on them, you will bring more blessings into your life. I'm serious. If you don't believe me, give it a try. Keep doing it. It's not a miracle cure, but it will work. The more that you do it, the more that it can change your life in a very dramatic way for the best positive way possible. I mean, just give it a try. What do you have to lose, Okay, so this would be circumstances. We have the Seven of Swords in the reverse position. So this can be many different things. Overall, when I see the Seven of Swords, this is definitely indicative of sneaky type of behavior. So if you're not sneaking around, then, take a look around to see who is. But this is your circumstances, so you guys are aware. Now, the Seven of Swords also can indicate deception, betrayals. It can also indicate theft. So, yeah, this is definitely one of those cards that when I see it, let's make sure that every window is locked, every door is locked. If you got a skylight, make sure that that is locked, things of that nature, because, getting your home burglarized can always fall under this particular energy as well. But theft in general, this could be plagiarism, at your job. So there's definitely a need to be careful on when it comes to sharing your ideas, your projects, anything work related, because plagiarism can come up here where someone may try to take your work or your ideas and then take credit for them. So yeah. And this is also the card of, if you've been sneaking around, especially in something like an extramarital affair, this is the type of card where you will get exposed. So if you're doing some sneaky type of crap like that, this is the card that, can very much expose what's going on. Yeah, you wouldn't want to develop a bad reputation that can follow you for life, So do be careful, but this can indicate getting caught, because even when it comes down to, say, someone trying to steal from you or rob you, or even a extramarital affair, with the Seven of Swords in reverse, something is always left behind, and it's always left behind on accident, but it's also proof that something is shady is going on, something that is just sneaky and not right, deceptive, is going on, So for instance, like in regards to, extramarital affairs, this is where you could find a pair of underwear or a bra, or, say a man's tie or undershirt, or something, This is where something gets left behind on accident, but it starts the exposure, so to speak, the exposure process. So, and a lot of times, especially in regards to theft and plagiarism, there's always something that's left behind, some sort of evidence, that something's been taken. And so a lot of times the thief will come back and try to recover what they left on accident. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. But I'm definitely feeling that for a lot of you, that this would be work related. It's either work related or personal life related. And then to clarify, we have the Priestess in the reverse position. So this would certainly indicate that perhaps maybe you've had a gut feeling about it, an intuition, and maybe you just simply thought you were, being fearful or like, oh, that would never happen. Sometimes this can indicate that sometimes you just decide to flip that intuition switch, that, our higher mind. Sometimes you just switch it off because you prefer to use your logic and your intellect rather than listening to your higher mind. And we really don't want to do that, because when the High Priestess is in reverse, she's basically saying, you need to take a closer look at this situation, because there is something going on. There is something that there's more than meets the eye, okay, about a particular situation occurring. So it's kind of like a puzzle where you really need to look underneath the surface. You need to dig deep, because there is most definitely a situation that you need to look deeper into, but you need to flip that switch back on. You need to listen to your gut feeling. You need to listen to your intuition, your higher mind. You really need to pay attention. It may not be what you want to hear or to think about the situation, but you do not want to avoid it, because your intuition is trying to tell you something. This situation, you need to look deeper into it, because it's like a puzzle, and you're slowly putting it together. But you need your intuition to continue putting it together, because if you just use your logic and your intellect, then we could miss quite a few puzzle pieces, and then it won't be fully complete. And hey, if something's being hidden from you or stolen from you, or you're being lied to, don't you want every single detail? I mean, I know I would. I want the full picture. I want to know. So there's definitely a deeper meaning behind all of this. Now, this would be the focus. We have 6 of coins. Again, this is the card of generosity. This could be the card of, someone offering you money to help you out. This could be the card of someone giving you a loan, or someone may just decide to give you a gift that's money or something that has, financial value. But more times than not, this is someone who's generous, and, they do us a solid, they help us out. So some of you might be looking for some extra resources. Some of you may need a loan to get you by. And this is very positive, because if you need help, it's definitely available. Now, we clarify, and we get the Devil card, which is the Capricorn card. So some of you could actually be a bit addicted. We could call you a workaholic. So, but overall, the Devil is about karmic, toxic relationships. They could be romantic or platonic. Addictions, fear, obsessions. The Devil is a very sexualized card as well. So a lot of times there can be a sexual type of addiction with this particular card. But, in this day and age, there are so many addictions, it's just crazy. So, perhaps some of you may be letting an addiction or an obsession or a fear get the better of you. Maybe some of you are fearful and you're obsessing over a work type of situation or a financial situation. But you don't want to obsess, because that's really not healthy. And you definitely don't want fear controlling you. And so it's definitely making sense that we started out with the Strength card in reverse, because I'm feeling that this is fear for most of you. I'm feeling like a lot of you are fearful that you're going to end up destitute and completely broke. But that doesn't have to be the case. Some of you absolutely don't want to have to ask for money, because you guys are just absolute workhorses. You're all about making that money, and so you definitely don't want to have to ask someone for money. So some of you are probably making yourselves pretty worried by thinking in a negative way, letting fear control your mind. But you need to realize that, you see how this man is in this cage, but the door is wide open. But yet, body language, he's definitely scared, he's fearful, he does not trust. But that cage is open. He could get out at any point in time, but he's just not looking up. So the bondage, the so-called cage, the shackles, they're all an illusion. It's an illusion. You're not really stuck. You're not really stuck. You may feel like you're stuck, but you're not. Okay? Now also, if you happen to have an addiction, now would be a good time to try to kick that addiction. It's okay to be addicted to work as long as you can learn moderation and know that you need to take a break from time to time. I get it, but sometimes we just need to take a chill pill and take a break. Okay? Because if we push and push and push ourselves, we will push ourselves past the point of exhaustion. Mentally, physically, emotionally. When we refuse to take a break, the universe can come in and say, here you go, here's a nasty little cold. Now you got to take a break. And look, now you're not going to enjoy this break. You're going to be sick. And I can hear some of you Capricorns like, I ain't going to let no cold get in my way. I'm still going to work. But this is where a cold, just a simple cold can even get worse, because you need to learn to take that cue that you need a break. So if you try to take a break here and there, as much as you may not want to, if you can take a break, it will help you out, and then you won't have to worry about getting struck down by a cold in order to, take a break.